Welcome to Perspectives El Paso. I'm Leon Blevins of Paso Community College Television. This is September of 2016. As you can see, I have a banner behind us here today with my guest, Shakespeare on the Rocks. I'm dressed a little bit like Shakespeare would have dressed over 400 years ago. Shakespeare, well known for writing some of the most magnificent plays in world history, English-speaking world history particularly. Today I have with me a woman named Carol Roberts Spence, is that right?
Correct, yes, thank you.
I'm just now meeting her, and for a long period of her life she's been involved in doing Shakespearean plays. A number of years ago, I made a friendship with Hector Serrano at El Paso Community College. He recently retired. I just recently retired. And we worked together on a variety of projects. At one point, he and David Mills started something called Shakespeare on the Rocks, producing Shakespeare's plays at McKelligon Canyon. And I performed on the stage at McKelligon Canyon in a variety of ways over the years. And so he asked me to introduce some of the plays they were doing, or dress as Shakespeare. And my wife and I, Shannon and I, did some pre-show dances, Renaissance dances for and with the crowd. It was a great time that we had there. Then they moved to other locations. And now they are located at the Chamazal Memorial Theater here in central El Paso. And Carol is with me today, and she is a director of a play, Shakespeare on the Rocks, even it is at the Chamazal.
Correct.
Carol, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me very much. Thank you.
Okay, first I want to ask a little bit about you. We're going to kind of take it in segments. We're going to
got
talk a little bit about you and your background.
Okay.
And then we're going to talk a little bit about Shakespeare on the Rocks.
Okay.
And then we're going to talk about the play that you're now working on. Okay,
Yes.
is that a fair way to look at this?
Looks good.
27-minute conversation
Let's
we will
go.
have. Okay, tell us a little bit about you.
Gosh, I've been in this part of the world for many years. I graduated from Burgess High School and fell in love with theater there, and then started at UTEP and decided that my passion was calling me, and went to New York when I was a kid-ish, and was fortunate enough to get hired by a company that does not exist anymore, though some of the people are still around. It was called the National Shakespeare Company, and we were on a bus that we toured with, as I commonly call them, crazy creative people. There was 14 of us, 15 technically, on the bus, all touring North America, producing and performing Shakespeare. We did it in rep. We had 3 shows per year, and I was on that bus for basically 5 years.
Did you have another bus that was technical crew?
No, they all hung out together.
All on the same bus?
Yeah, all on the same bus.
Well, that's a drama in itself, having to set up and take down, perform.
Yes.
How did you deal with that?
Oh, you just dealt with it. It was, the last 2 seasons that I was with them, I was company manager, and so I was the one that was talking with the booker out of New York and trying to get things, going. And back then, before cell phones, it was a challenge, but it was interesting. Some of the people that were on that bus are, still treading the boards.
Pursue your love.
Exactly. It's a passion. I tell, when I'm talking to young actors and they're wanting to be an actor, I said, it's not a want, it's a need. You need to be on that stage. It's a passion. And thank everyone that I was able to do that. Well, after a while, I was like, okay. I toured with another company called Paper Bag Players, the children's theater. Actually, that still exists today. And I said, I want to get off the road. It sounds like a lot of fun, Leon, but it's, a little challenging. So long story short, as I moved back and then decided, my parents had retired here at El Paso, and came back and basically got into back of house and worked at the University of Texas El Paso, UTEP, Go Miners, for 23 years. Worked in the special events.
Did you ever do any productions in Europe? Did you actually get over to the continent?
We did. We went over to, actually got over to London, and as National Shakespeare Company, we did it.
That must have been terribly exciting.
It was. We were not anywhere near the theater, and I can't remember the name of it. It was nowhere. It was kind of, I would say, C. C plus
Okay.
theater. You know, it was a friend of a friend, and actually we were there for about 2 weeks.
But
And
at
did-
least you were able to go and see those things and see
Yes.
those places and be
Yes.
engaged in
Yes.
some way.
And we got to tour and actually were with people that were from there, so we got to see the back, you know, see
Okay.
the real London, you know.
Yeah, well, my wife Shannon and I, we both were involved in teaching drama,
Mm-hmm.
speech and drama, and producing certain things. And then eventually I got into full-time political science, but we would still engage in various kinds of drama, especially church drama. And from all angles, you've been at all angles, on the stage performing, backstage putting it together, managing a company. So you've seen all the sides of drama.
Yeah.
That's wonderful, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Now let's talk a little bit about Shakespeare on the Rocks then.
Okay.
When did you find out and hear about Shakespeare on the Rocks and get plugged into it?
Oh, get plugged. Well, I've known since when I came back to El Paso, it was up and running, and it was like, oh, really cool. But with my job and things going down with, you know, personal, and I had children and all that good stuff, I saw one production and went, this is cool. I like the idea of being in the canyon. Though being outside doing theater is a challenge regardless of where you are. But when I was going with a friend of mine, Micah Vincent, who I've known since college, she worked with Viva El Paso for many years,
Okay.
and with Hector. They were doing Shakespeare on the Rocks, and said, would you like to come in? And Hector I've known for all. And I said, okay. And then last year, that was in 2014, and then in 2015, we were deciding what plays to do, and I mentioned, you know, he wanted to do, as artistic director, he wanted to do 3 dramas, and I went, oh, you should do a comedy, you know, where no one dies. Because usually everyone dies in Shakespeare's. And so I actually did a Survey Monkey for them on our Facebook page and on our website page last year in 2014 for the 2015 season about, here's the 3 shows, you know, you vote which one you want to see, and actually Much Ado got it. Almost like over 40, almost 60% were like yes for Much Ado, as opposed to some of the other ones.
Well, when we were on their advisory committee, this was the kind of thing that we were dealing with. I've seen a number of plays, of course, Midsummer Night's Dream.
Yes.
They did that a number of years, and the most memorable one was at the Masonic Theater downtown, next to where the ballpark is now, and they have a full scenery set they can just bring down and raise up and move around, and shows all of these different aspects of Midsummer Night's Dream. That's magnificent. That was wonderful. And then, of course, Much Ado About Nothing and others. Also, the dramas. One thing about Shakespeare, we need to point out, Shakespeare is timeless and timely.
Oh, yes.
Go and see a play about Antony and Cleopatra. Yeah. That's history.
Yes, it is.
But also, it's timeless and it's timely. Today, we have a presidential election going. We won't get into that. But one of the candidates is very, very famous for insults. Shakespeare was famous for insults. He would write into these productions where there's tension going on in a family, a relationship between a man and a woman, or man and man, whatever, and show all of these emotions, love, fear, anger, anxiety, depression, murder, all of these things. Isn't that what makes Shakespeare so wonderful?
It is. I mean, we're celebrating the 400th year anniversary of technically his death, April 23rd, 1616. And he was technically born in April, 52 years earlier, but so they say, but there isn't quite.
Yeah, disputed.
It's disputed, as but we're performing his work 400 years later. And not only in English speaking, but I think there's something like 92 versions in different languages of Shakespeare right now.
Wow.
And it's amazing because we just closed Othello this past Saturday. And watching it with all the drama and the politics, and we talked about how timely. I mean, we're talking about the same things because Shakespeare, his talent, and he's genius. Though anonymous, they think he didn't write it.
That's disputed. That's what happens when you get 400 years of history.
One of my favorite movies is Anonymous. Is that he? It's what's happening. It's Homo sapiens, human beings. We don't change.
No.
You know, our emotions, our thoughts, our, you know, passions are the same as it was 400 years ago,
Or even further back.
4,000 years
Yes,
ago.
Adam and Eve and brothers
Yes.
fighting and all
The
this kind of
hello.
stuff. And that's what Shakespeare was really was about. It was
Yeah.
about humans and the human condition
That's right.
and the interactions of human beings. It wouldn't be a drama if there weren't the human action going on.
And with comedy too. I mean, I personally, if you say, what show would you like to be in or be a part of? I'll take the comedy.
Yeah, where nobody dies.
Nobody dies. Well, shush, 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 shush. And we can talk about Much Ado, because that's
Okay.
what I'm directing, and we'll be doing this October 21, 22. No one dies. That's a little spoiler alert, because at one point somebody pretends to die, but come and see it and you'll see who.
Possibility. Okay, let's then talk about this production
Okay.
you're working on. You are the director.
Yes.
Okay. Let the audience know a little bit, give a teaser, a little bit about Much Ado About Nothing.
It's a comedy, and it's based in, it's basically relationships between two people, man and woman, that love each other and hate each other, but really love each other and pissed at each other. Oh, excuse me.
Right.
You know, and it's Beatrice and Benedict are the leads, and they've been kind of off and on for many years. I mean, technically they say they're in their 30s, but back then that was fairly long.
Yeah, right.
And they had a war, and they, you know, he comes back, and Beatrice is like, I'm not going to ever get married. I mean, she actually says that. And then, wait a minute, you know, and then her uncle, Leonardo, says, no, I have somebody for you, Benedict. And he, well, no, I don't want Benedict. And so it's the whole relationship. And then we have Hero, who's the daughter of Leonardo, the governor, and she falls in love with a good friend, Claudio, of Benedict, because they all come back from war. Well, the interesting thing, I mean, it's written, of course, in the Renaissance, but I made a decision along with Hector, our artistic director, and talking with the people that are part of Shakespeare on the Rocks. I decided, asked if I could put it in the Roaring '20s, because of all that was going on. I'm placing it because they do come back from war, and we're coming back from war in this production from World War I. It's 1919, end of World War I. All the guys are coming back, having seen some gross, horrific battles, and they're coming back and they're like, oh, but it's the Roaring '20s. And so the women are a little bit different in terms of, what's the word I'm looking for? They're not, domestic. I mean, they're women. And it's the beginning of the emancipation. It's the beginning of, women power.
Charleston.
Yeah.
I have a picture of my mother. She was born in 1910.
Mm-hmm.
And when she was a teenager, I have a picture of her where she was dressed in a Charleston-looking outfit.
Flappers, yes.
Yeah, the flappers.
Well, it was technically prohibition, but we know how that didn't work.
Right.
And so, yes, all the costume is going to be the 20s, and all the women are going to be like flappers. And actually, there's 2 party scenes, dancing and partying and drinking. But we're going to be doing Charleston. That is going to be the dance, and all the props and the scenery and everything. And actually, in looking at and listening to the play and rereading it, I see a lot of and like I say, it doesn't really depend. I mean, we're good with. You can't really put, Richard III in the Roaring '20s.
Oh, no.
No, but with this, there's really not that much. What's the word I'm looking for? There's no real location other than they say they're coming back into Spain, but they don't actually say that. They know they're coming back.
Okay, I'm dressed Renaissance. Maybe
Yes.
I should have worn a different outfit today.
Just 20s. But no, but like I say, with Shakespeare, we talk about his genius is that he is talking about the human nature. Mm-hmm. And it can be in the Renaissance, the banter between Beatrice and Benedict, or it can be in the Roaring '20s, the banter between Beatrice and Benedict.
Mm-hmm. Is there some significance in him naming a heroine Hero?
Hero.
Is this kind of a precursor of women's liberation?
Possibly. Though, I mean, like I say, it's, A hero is kind of, I mean, the younger and very naive, and falls in love with Claudia, who is very younger and a bit naive. And there's, of course, the evil, Don John.
Okay.
Now, the reason he's evil-ish, he's evil because he's the bastard son of Don Pedro. I mean, the bastard brother of Don Pedro. So he's been treated disrespectfully because of how he was born. And so growing up like that, I was reading something about the politics. You're not born hating. You're taught to hate.
Right.
And so he was taught, basically.
There's a song about that in the South Pacific.
Yes.
Rodgers and Amos, and you have to be taught to hate. You have to learn to hate.
Learn to hate. So we have Don John, who is, he is conniving, and he really wants to, I guess, make a point or become, he wants to be the leader, but he can never do that. But he wants to mess around with people, especially with Don Pedro, his bastard, the real bro, and Leonardo, who's the governor. He wants to let them know that, regardless of how he was born, he's got it,
Okay. A question here about education with this. Do you think that schools are still teaching enough about Shakespeare?
I think so. I mean, as I recall, and my kids are no longer kids anymore, but I know I believe they still have to read Romeo and Juliet, and I think Julius Caesar, and that's one of the reasons why back 100 years ago when I was on the road with the Shakespeare Company, they purposely would produce shows that you had to read in actually sophomore in high school and senior in high school. I know that's why we did Romeo and Juliet and Julius Caesar, and we did one Comedy of Errors. We did Richard III too.
Well, that's still true today because sometimes students will come by and want someone to autograph their program, showing that they showed up to see the program for extra credit points.
Yes, exactly.
Or part of their getting the grade for that particular course.
Yeah.
Okay, now what about working with Shakespeare for so many years? How has he influenced your life?
Oh gosh, I mean, I've been a fanatic and kind of a, I just know that he's been a part of my life since I was 100 years. And
you don't look that old.
No, I mean, I look to see about, when I hear a line, that is familiar, and actually I can, now is the winter of our discontent, may glorious summer by this son of York. Name that show. Name the show. Hamlet.
Hamlet, okay.
Speak the speech, I pray you, as I pronounced it to you, trippingly on the tongue. But if you pronounce it as many of your players do, I had as lief the town crier spoke your lines. I mean, you get it in your body.
So you still have those all in your brain.
You get it in your body. And that's why I tell my actors, I said, I just remember, going through the director, Mario Soletti. He's not with us anymore, but he was very, and actually he started Stella Adler. He and Stella were together. He started the Stella Adler School. He was an interesting person, but he was the one that literally, when we were in rehearsal and learning, he literally would have us do jumping jacks and say our lines. Over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Jumping jacks.
So you could get it. Let me ask you, I want to give you an opportunity before our time runs out to give us a number, telephone number or website or anything for people to contact about getting tickets, maybe wanting to volunteer and be a part of the productions.
Yeah. Well, we do have a Facebook page. It's Shakespeare on the Rocks.
Okay.
And we do have a website, shakespeareontherocks.com. And you can buy tickets through the website. It's PayPal. But, and they're $10, and there's discounts for students and military and seniors. Okay. There is a phone number on both sites that you can call. It's general seating, so if you want to, you can just come to the box office opens at the Chamizal at 6 p.m. on the performance day, which is October 21 and October 22, Friday and Saturday of next month, actually, I should say. Right. And you can buy them there, or you can do it through the PayPal on our website. Like I say, it's open seating, so you're not getting reserved, so it's up to you how you want to do that. And if you want to be part of Shakespeare on the Rocks, Just come, and there's a message place on Facebook, or you can give David Mills or Hector Serrano, well, actually David Mills, his phone number is on the website. Give him a call, or show up. We do need, actually, we need ushers. If there's somebody who'd like to be an usher for these coming, come and talk to me, Carol Robert Spence. We can usher, because the next after Romeo, after Much Ado About Nothing, we have Romeo and Julieta, which is a bilingual Romeo and Juliet, and that's going to be November 18 and November 19 at Chamizo.
How is that bilingual?
The Capulets are English and the Montagues are Spanish.
Are there subtitles put up on a screen so you can follow?
No, you're just going to have to listen. It's cool.
Oh my goodness.
This is the third time. This is the third year that he's done this, and it actually it's gotten really good responses. I've seen it, and even though I'm not that good at understanding, well, I can understand Spanish. I don't speak it that well at all. But if the acting, you know what's going on, and I mean, Romeo and Juliet is one of the most iconic Shakespeare. Sure. I mean, West Side Story. I mean, how many have been?
Yeah, that's been reconfigured too.
Yeah.
Now, do you have any favorites? Let's say in the comedies, tragedies, histories. Name one or two or three of your favorites.
I like, Much Ado is my favorite. I was fortunate enough to be able to do that, and did 100. We did almost 300 performances over the year.
Goodness.
Yeah. And in terms of tragedies, I don't know. I like Romeo and Juliet. I played the nurse on that bus thing, and that was interesting. But I like Anthony and Cleopatra. I would go see that. And I mean, I would do that. And then with histories, I don't know, we did, here's the story. We did Richard III, but they put it in the modern day, and it was back when punk rock just started up, and that's all the music. And it was modern, and it was, it was actually in this it was the early 80s, it was 82, 83.
I bet that upset the traditionalists.
Oh gosh, I have a review. I still have it in my book. Out of Lansing, Michigan, the reviewer said, "The National Shakespeare Company murders Richard III."
I like that. So some things work for some groups, and sometimes they don't work for others.
Yeah, and he did it presentational, because that was, we all had. It was interesting. We didn't do it that long. They pulled it.
No, that is not timeless. That dates it very, very much.
Yeah, it was interesting to do, and to see and the audience, the going to the younger audiences, they really liked it because of the music and stuff. But it was,
Now you've directed quite a few of Shakespeare's plays.
Yes, I've directed a few. Yes.
Okay, which do you think was the hardest one for you to direct?
The hardest one. Oh gosh.
Greatest challenges or whatever.
I would say probably Comedy of Errors.
Comedy of Errors.
You had to have the twin thing.
Okay.
That just came to mind.
Okay.
But and Much Ado. I mean, it's challenging directing anything, regardless if it's Shakespeare or anyone. It's a challenge, because you're having to manipulate all these creative people and get it all in one picture.
And I would think that the more complicated that Shakespeare makes it, the harder it would be to direct it.
Yeah.
Mozart did that with some of his works, such as The Marriage of Figaro or some of those, Complicated. Who's this? Who is that? Why do they do this? Why do they do that? And Shakespeare was a master at that, but I could imagine being a director. I never directed a Shakespearean play, but I could imagine some would be much more difficult than others.
Having a conversation with my assistant director, and she's great. Her name is Maria Hart. She teaches here locally. She has her master's in Shakespeare. We were talking yesterday actually about, before we start directing tomorrow, we're talking about the characters and basically what we're going to have to tell the actor. This is what why is Don John so evil? Tell me. And then we talk about props, and one of the things I was told when I was taking acting in New York, one of the guys, Mario Saletti, he literally say, as this character, what do you have in your purse that you cannot get rid of, that you will never give away as a prop? Oh, okay, that's interesting. You know, and you have to get in the body, you know, and the other one, Philip Meister, who started the company, he's no longer with us. That's another story. His thing was, why must this scene take place? Why must this scene take place?
Yeah, right.
Oh, okay, because it's written. No, why must this scene? And I tell the same thing is like, his direction was, when you enter, where are you coming from? Off stage. No, where are you coming from? The kitchen, you know, in the bedroom. I'm coming from the bath. You know, you have to come up. And then when you exit stage, where are you going? Oh, okay. So I mean, you're a real person.
Yeah, motivation.
Exactly.
Motivation, yeah. Did you have any mentors that really gave you stimulation to do what you're doing? Burgess High School, UTEP, or somewhere else. We have about 3 minutes left. A shout out to somebody that really inspired you.
I tell this, well, it was my mom and dad. They're the ones, I mean, I knew I wanted to be in theater when I was 6 years old, Leon, because I was a Christmas pageant, and I was the back end of the reindeer dancing. And my mom put me in ballet because that, you know, long story short. And I remember doing the show. I was 6 years old, and you know, taking the costume off because I had to hold on, you know, to my partner, and then take and then the applause. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Ah, yeah. And so I mean, in terms of mentoring, there, you know, there was a lot of people. They're no longer with us. Well, Mario Saletti, Philip Meister in New York, locally. Gosh. Too many people. I mean, Micah Sharp, Vincent, you know, we were together. In terms of just getting up on stage, you know, I always felt blessed, and you know, because you audition and you have to wait for the, you know, the cast list to come out.
But their spirit was behind you,
Yeah.
saying, we're here, we're supporting you,
Yeah.
we know you can do it.
Yeah.
You're not going to flub your lines, you're going to go forward, you're going to remember everything. And even
Yeah.
if you don't remember everything, you know how to ad-lib.
Whoa,
And
it's
still
kind of difficult to ad-lib in
Still keep it in context.
iambic pentameter. It's a little hard to do that.
Nope, they're going to know all the lines. Well, Carol,
I
it's great to
appreciate it.
have you
Thank
here
you
today. I
so
love
much,
to
Leon.
visit with people like you
Thank you
that
for
have
having
a purpose in life, and you're making life better for those of us in El Paso, Texas.
Well, please come and see our shows.
Good luck. Those of you that are watching, be sure and go see Much Ado About Nothing. And we'll see you on another program where we will have a lot to say about everything. I'm Leon Blevins, also known as William Shakespeare.